You know, haves and have not fans, after watching the Final Temptation special, I was inspired to do a Veronica video because I was really, just thinking about the number of fans who commented how they love Veronica, how they're sad that their Tuesday nights will feel empty once it's over and done with. But at the same time, I was really thinking, wow, people always talk about how, well, myself included, Veronica's like a bag. She has more lives than a bag of cats and whatnot. And I thought a fun video to do would be, well, this one, Veronica's 9 lives, basically talking about 9 different scenarios where Veronica miraculously survived a situation that we honestly thought she wouldn't come out of. And this is in no particular order, but I will save one moment for the top spot because of the fact that I truly think that, in my opinion, it was the greatest life that she saved from her collection of lives. Because in this situation, I honestly feel like this was pretty much her being placed on the chopping block, but she miraculously found a way out of it. So if there are any moments in this list that you feel shouldn't have made the cut, or if there was something that I just missed entirely because I literally just sat down and jotted moments, no cheating, I didn't go online, I literally thought mentally, okay, what scenarios did Veronica, because when did it feel like she was going to be off, but then she wasn't? And keep in mind, this is prior to the final 8 episodes. So who's to say in every single episode of this season, it's like Veronica almost died, but she didn't. Veronica almost died, but she didn't. So there could be 9 live moments in this dang final 8 episodes that we have yet to see. But I hope this video is as fun for you as it is for me. If I'm able to, at this point I doubt it though, given the fact that so many, clips and whatnot are restricted. I would put clips. I'll try my best to put screenshots when I get to particular moments. That way you know what I'm talking about. But if not, oh well, I'll describe it and we'll go from there. So before moving forward in the video, please take a moment to hit like, hit subscribe, click the bell notification icon and select all. That way you don't miss out whenever I post new content on the channel, because you definitely don't want to miss out, because this week we have the return of House of HAHN, assisted living. Next week we gotta have it. The haves and the have-nots are finally coming back. And then the week after that, we got Sisters coming on BET. So guys, we are in for a Tyler Perry phenomenon. 5 shows coming back in the span of a couple of weeks here. And, the social media links to all the groups and Instagrams and all that stuff is in the description below. So now this is an honorable mention because of the fact that he was killed. So unfortunately, he wasn't able to get revenge on Veronica. And this is Toxic, who was the guy that was placed in the jail cell with Wyatt, and he was raped. Veronica orchestrated the whole affair. And when Veronica actually got a phone call from Toxic in order to have money put on his books, she pretty much left him hanging. And I felt like, yeah, it's probably going to come back to bite her. But unfortunately, that wasn't the case, because Toxic got killed off during the finale when the chickens come home. He was giving his speech. And, Toxic, Terrell, the guard that let Toxic into the jail cell with Wyatt, Professor Cannon, all those people were killed, during Jim's speech. So Toxic, she was actually unintentionally saved by Jim, whether she knew it or not. Okay, the next moment here, oh, wow, to be completely honest, sheesh. It's hard for me to say, because instead of numbers, I should just say that, the first 3 moments, like the first 3 lives, you could just say were all Jeffrey. I mean, obviously when Jeffrey stabbed her in the chest with the butter knife, I believe, and it was in the implant. So that was one life that she was spared. She was saved by one life was spared by an implant. Yeah. And of course, the damn defibrillator when Jeffrey shocked her. So that was another life right there. And that was pretty much to help his father, because remember, this was when David was still knocked out in the hospital after having his back nearly blown off. And she kept hitting him. It was like, wake up, wake up, wake up, you cheating bastard. Your whore is dead. Wake up, wake up, wake up. And, she got shocked, literally. Of course, we got the next one where Jeffrey throwed her off the balcony and she was saved by a bunch of empty boxes. Yeah, look, literally, if it was my apartment, they would definitely be Amazon boxes, because I saved my boxes to use for eBay stuff. So yeah, she was saved by empty boxes. And that was pretty interesting in itself, because Jeffrey took almost a third of her lives away. That's pretty crazy. And then we go over to Melissa, who tried to take both of their lives in a 2-for-1 kamikaze mission by technically Justin. Even though Justin contributed, it wasn't him that did it. It was Melissa who took the wheel and eventually ran them off the road. So when Melissa had the car flipped and tried to kill the both of them, that was a scenario where the Veronica show, the episode of the Veronica show, the finale, it was like, wow, okay, they probably won't really get out. Well, they probably won't get out of here because of the gas leak and then the fire. So that was another life, ready to be taken away. We kind of got a twofer here, even though I will say that I'll put this under the stab category. And this was when Catherine, A Cup of Tea, I believe was the episode title, where Catherine had the knife and stabbed her. And wait, I don't think it was A Cup of Tea. A Cup of Tea was a Hannah and Derek episode. But basically, it was the episode where, after Jennifer Salison was shot, and then Catherine pointed the gun at Veronica, saying, "Your first," hang on, basically to cover the murder up, to get Catherine off for murdering Jennifer Salison. And then, of course, that's when she took the knife and then stabbed her. So the gun was pointed at her to scare her, but she literally had the intention of taking the knife and killing her with it. So that was another life when I believe she was stabbed in the shoulder by Catherine. Now, there was, of course, the epic choke scene that did make it into the Final Temptation special, where Jim Cryer had choked Veronica once he put 2 and 2 together, that Veronica was the one that had Toxic put in a jail cell with Wyatt to rape him. And that was like one of the first, like, oh my God, get her, Jim, 1-800 choke that hoe, choke that hoe. That was a hilarious and epic moment that fans have been waiting for quite some time up until that point in the series. Then, of course, I'm going to throw Quincy into the mix, because Veronica stood her ground. I mean, there were 2 scenarios, if I'm not mistaken, where Quincy tried to force himself on Veronica, not to kill her, but to rape her. The first time being where he climbed in bed with her and she thought it was David, and she pretty much, put him in his place with her words and everything. And then, after he left, she got up and, made sure her security was on and everything. And then the second time, I believe this was at the beginning of season 2, if I'm not mistaken, it was when Veronica took her heels off and put on some sneakers because she was ready to go to the Sarandon Hotel to kick Maggie's ass, because she could suspect, Maggie and David getting it on when David didn't answer his phone. And then she smelled Quincy downstairs, and he was in the kitchen eating something, and then he pressed her up against the stairs and was choking her until she managed to mention the names of his family members, of having them all killed if he went through with what he thought he was going to do to her. So that was one life that we thought would be, taken away, but she literally used her quick wit in order to escape that scenario. Then, of course, we got the epic moment where David pimp slapped her. I had to pimp slap that bitch. Where it's like, I'm not saying David was going to kill her, but he was literally at his breaking point, because he thought that Veronica was the one that ransacked his apartment that he actually lent to Jeffrey, but it was actually Justin who was the one to do that. So, that was another scenario. It's like, oh my God, is David going to kill her? It's like, if I remember correctly, that pimp slap wasn't even in the trailer. That was one of the few times where the Tyler Perry shows, the trailer didn't spoil such a huge moment. So I just really feel like that moment in itself was epic because none of us saw it coming. Like, we knew David was angry, but it's like, damn, David, we didn't think you were going to do that. Then we have another honorable mention, which I forgot to mention. I want to be completely honest here. I had forgotten about Jeffrey tossing Veronica over the balcony until I actually started recording the video. And honestly, I didn't really want to count that as one life because we literally saw her falling on the boxes, and it's like, we know she made it, but that was still like a cliffhanger anyway. It's like, ooh, is she dead? But I would say the moment where Maggie got shot at her house, but the thing about that is we eventually found out that no, Veronica orchestrated the whole thing where Jim had one of the Malones, like, okay, one of the Malones will kill Veronica. Remember, it was Terrell, Toxic, a Professor Cannon, and then Harrington. No, not David, Veronica Harrington. And then there was that person set up in her house, and we thought it was her. But no, we got Veronica pulling up to her house after she got out of jail using her tablet. She saw on the cameras that there was a guy in there, and then she orchestrated for Maggie to open the door. That way she got shot instead of Veronica. So it's a situation that we later found out that Jim called off the hit on Veronica, and then Veronica put the hit on herself to... Yeah, basically Veronica, we knew that Veronica avoided that scenario. I called it out at the time. People thought I was crazy, so I'm not going to count that one. Like, we thought that was the scenario, but considering it was so drawn out, and then we learned it was a bait and switch, I don't want to count that as one of Veronica's 9 lives because her life was in danger, but then we found out it really wasn't because she orchestrated the entire thing. It would have been different if she had opened the door and then, by some stretch of the imagination, avoided bullets or whatever, but this is Veronica we're talking about. So, in my personal opinion, I think the number one life or of these Veronica 9 lives doesn't even involve violence. It was when Landon tried to set her ass up during the episode, I believe, entitled The Press Conference. This was early season 2 when Amanda, we knew she was dead, but nobody else knew that she was dead. Well, honestly, no, we didn't even know she was dead at the time, if I'm not mistaken. But basically, they were trying to buy time for Jim and Catherine to get to the press conference, but, they were running late for obvious reasons. Like, Jim had been kidnapped the night before, and in order to buy time, David, Veronica, Jeffrey, and Melissa were on stage instead. And Landon, who was tired of Veronica's crap, was pretty much in a scenario where he got one of the reporters to kind of grill Veronica about, gay rights. And she messed up, first of all, by calling her a young man. And it's like, oh, because she literally had like an Ellen kind of attire, with the slick back hair and like a suit and everything. So it was like, oh, wow, this is awkward. But it's almost like Veronica, it's interesting to watch scenes like that when that came out so long, almost a decade ago compared to like now, 2021, or even like 2020. You just see, or basically during the Trump era, when it came to, news outlets and whatnot. And it's like, these people on the news are saying a bunch of nothing, even though it almost sounds like they're saying a lot of something, and it's enough to get the masses on their side. So even though Veronica, if you listen closely, it's not that she was saying she agreed with gay rights. It was the fact that she pretty much sounded very inclusive, even though if you, obviously as fans, we know her actions don't really attribute to her being LGBTQ plus friendly or LGBT at the time. Remember, that episode came out of 2014, 2015. So, the abbreviation or acronyms were different. But basically, I think there was one point where she even said in the series, I don't have a problem with gay people. I just don't want my son to be one of them. So I really love the fact that she was set up to be massacred on live television, but she managed, as Landon put it, she's like a cockroach. It's like you think she's dead, but she'll find a way to evolve and adapt and escape alive. And it was just so phenomenal, just the look on Landon's face when he thought he had Veronica, and then after she killed it, she looked down and gave him an icy cold glare, and Landon was like, oh God, oh God. So that was obviously an epic moment itself, because this wasn't her being stabbed or choked when there's like one or two people around. This was Veronica set up to be annihilated on television, and she still made it out. So in my opinion, these are Veronica's 9 lives that I wanted to talk about in this video. As I mentioned in the beginning, if there are any particular Veronica moments that you feel should have made the cut, like I said, feel free. I had a couple of honorable mentions in here, but again, this was just a last minute video I threw together. I probably missed some key moments, but I do think I found like the best of the best. You had Justin, what was it, slapping her in the parking lot. I don't really count those. Those like one and dones. Because it was more so a pissed off slap as opposed to a full on I'm going to kill this bitch moment. So let's talk about it more in the comments section below. If there are any other specific have and have not videos and topics you want me to do, make sure you submit those ideas either on Instagram DM, tweet me, or comment below. I want to do as many of these as possible prior to the premiere next week. So guys, thanks so much for tuning in as always. And if you want to donate to the channel, feel free to do so on PayPal or Cash App. Thanks so much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon.